The Town play for the final time before Christmas when Derby County are the visitors to Kenilworth Road on Friday night. To preview a huge game of football alongside me, I've got the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, let's hope there's an early Christmas present for us Town fans on Friday.
And that it's not all bar humbug.
Indeed so, yes. We'll see if Scrooge makes an appearance or if we can have some positive outlook on the game right after this intro.
For me, it's the people and the spirit of the people as well.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category at this year's Football Content Awards. This season the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned before the intro, we're looking ahead to Luton Town versus Derby County Friday night, 8 p.m. If you've not got a ticket, then Sky Sports Football is the channel for you to watch this game. And what a huge game it is, Jimbo, because I think most people are fearing the worst in those two away games over Christmas, which we will come to after this game. But if you don't get anything from this game, eek.
And that is exactly the problem with the away form, isn't it? Piling so much pressure on the home games, and so far that's been okay. I think people would want better, but let's just go for okay for now. Roughly 2 points a game is all right. But the minute that stops or the minute that changes, then people are really going to start to worry. And I say that amid people that are really worrying anyway about a relegation possibility, which is legitimate.
It is. The other reason why this is a huge game, we play Friday night. We win the game, we can go up 5 or 6 places. Of course, everyone will have the chance to reply on Saturday, but they'll still have to do it, and not everyone will because some will play each other and this, that, and the other. But it'd just have a little bit of a cushion going into Christmas because, you know, obviously Boxing Day is the halfway point in the season. It's the time that we'll have played every team once, and then Sunday afterwards, you know, the second half of the season starts, and games run out quicker than you think, don't they? In that second half of the season, it's only one international break, so they come along quite quickly, and before you know it, you know, you're either safe and hunky dory, or you're in right stuck. And 3 points on Friday would really help going towards the former rather than the latter. We might have perfect dance partners here though. Won the last 3 here against Derby, and they're all relatively recent. So they've all been in the Championship, so that's one good thing. Derby have won 1 away game all season, so they're not the best travellers in the world. But they go into the game off the back of a 4-0 thumping against Portsmouth. Now, it has to be said, I watched that game. Portsmouth were atrocious. I mean, they made us look like Barcelona on our travels that night. They were really bad, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and we're guilty of doing that with Stoke in particular and a couple of others. But yeah, they don't win many games away from Pride Park, and that's a good thing. And hopefully they do have their away troubles. And well, yeah, like you've already referenced, really, our problems aren't here at Kenilworth Road. Performances might not be stand out in every game, but results are good. And to be honest here, given what's to come, the performance can, you know, go on the back burner. I just want 3 points.
I think it's almost a mantra for I was going to say for the entire season that's left to come, but let's just deal with Christmas. You know, just got to eke out some points, and obviously at home is where it's happened. I don't think anybody's predicted much away. That's just the evidence of the situation. There's not, you know, being downbeat on it really. That just seems to be where we are. So yeah, home's got to be where the heart is at the moment, and we've got to try and get some points. I like that what you're saying about their away form and stuff, but you know the way things are going everywhere at the moment, I think people would be screaming at their YouTube screens. Maybe. Have we jinxed it? I hope not.
All right, Scrooge, careful. We've got a couple of ghosts of Christmas past coming back here, haven't we?
There he is. There he is. Christmas peppered throughout this, if you like that sort of thing.
Crimbo Jimbo. Okay,
He's been waiting for that all year as well.
you know, it's couple of former glories we would never have been in the Championship but for James Collins and Sonny Bradley, least of all the Premier League. Obviously, Sonny was here when we got promoted, and Colo had moved on before then. Massive. When we look back on the last decade of Luton Town Football Club, these two guys are huge figures in everything that we've done. Colo in particular, his goals were incredible in those two early promotions. Certainly the League One season, when Hiltz had his injury problems, Colo really led the way. And Sonny as a captain, unbelievably good. Really good leader. His leadership in the defence, Jesus, could we have that? Could we have that, please? That would be absolutely fantastic, wouldn't it? But two guys who don't just give these two guys a good reception after the game, give them a standing ovation, because they are massive in what we've done.
Legends by right, I'd say. If you're talking just that decade, I'd say it. But then you guys didn't even come up with a song for Colo, so I don't know whether he's viewed that highly, but he really should be. Massive player, both of them at different ends of the pitch, and the fact that Sonny didn't play, but was up there at Wembley lifting the promotion trophy and front and centre when he knew he was going, and everybody else knew he was going as well. Is it speaks to how big a player and influence he was, and the reception's got to be great. I'm no doubt it will be. If they was giving USA to Ethan Horvath when he come back, then these two will get, both barrels is usually negative, isn't it? But full regalia, full reception from you guys. But I hope that's all they get.
Yeah, absolutely. After the game, don't give them a leg up before the game or anything like that. But I'd like to think both of them will come and address the Kenilworth. I mean, obviously, when they go up the tunnel, they'll have to anyway. But I'm sure Sonny in particular, it's his first time back. Colo's been back with other clubs. Cardiff, I think, was one of them, wasn't it? So he has been back and experienced it, but Sonny hasn't. And so, yeah, it'd be nice to show our appreciation to two men who've been absolutely massive, but hopefully, like Jimbo says, they go in with 0 points to their name. Neither started in that Portsmouth game, incidentally, so I don't know if they start regularly or not. If they do, they'll probably want to win, won't they? Just to,
Sonny got his 500th appearance, and he career appearance
at Burnley, wasn't it? Yeah. So huge kudos to Sonny for that. Someone did say how many it was in a Luton shirt, 100 and something or other. The number escapes me, but it just goes to show the part that he played.
Whatever it was hugely significant. Just the League One winning season, but then some of those moments in the Championship as well. That banger against Middlesbrough on the first day was sensational for a defender, whoever you are. But yeah, some huge moments, and top blokes as well. Sonny Bradley, a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That's as far as we're going with platitudes.
That's enough of the loving here, because God, we need some points.
Indeed we do. Yeah. Big fear here. There's so many Premier League loans on this side that you just know someone's going to cop us. The one thing I noticed against Portsmouth, they get the ball out wide. Mendes Lang in particular on one side seems to hog the touchline. He played on the left-hand side. So, I mean, I was going to say you'd like to think Hashioka would keep him quiet, but Hashioka suddenly appeared on the left-hand side at Blackburn on Saturday, didn't he? So, and then on the other side, Ibu Adams, who I'm hearing an awful lot of in recent weeks, so he must be playing quite well. He's the other one. The centre forward's Jerry Yates on loan from Swansea, and he's their top scorer, but he's only got 4 goals, so they're obviously not a free scoring side. In fact, they don't really hit the heights on any of the statistics that we've referenced in recent games. Obviously, Swansea had lots of possession. The last couple of goalkeepers have been above their station. There's nothing really. Derby just I don't want to say run-of-the-mill side, because that probably does them a disservice. But ultimately, they were a League One side last season, and we are kind of in the boat that we were in when we reflected ahead of the Stoke game, that if Luton are going to do anything at all this season, even just being comfortable in the league, you've got to be beating Derby at home. As bad as it sounds to say, it is the realistic fact.
That's the case for any team like that. It's different trajectories for the both, isn't it? Whereas, Luton coming down and finding things hard, and they're coming up. And until that result against Pompey were sort of equally struggling, although some of it you'd like to have struggled in quotes as much as them and some other clubs. But you've got to beat those teams around you, because you go into the big teams, you go to any team on the road, don't expect anything at the moment, but when those big teams come to Kenilworth Road, it's going to be hard as well. So yeah, hopefully this one goes to the two form books that you referenced, really, because if it doesn't, then and it's almost, I don't want to say inevitable, but like a matter of time before it doesn't go right at home, and then we're in a big load of trouble.
Unless the away form changes, yeah, absolutely. Look, this is a big night. There's no doubt about that. We referenced it though against Stoke, the Kenilworth Road lights, the magic of it, and it did. It appeared. It helped. And it needs to again, doesn't it? Sky cameras, let's be honest, they're here in the hope that there's an upset. They're not here just to watch Luton roll over Derby. So we got to, we got to use that as a bit of motivation as well. We'll prove them wrong. We'll show how good we are on telly, and get a massive 3 points. I say it again. Whenever you play the first game of the week, you get the chance to put the pressure on those around you, and it's an option that we can't pass up. We'll definitely go up the table if we win this game, because we'll go above Derby in particular. The picture will look a bit rosy. I've not checked to see who Portsmouth are playing and who Cardiff are playing and who everyone else is playing, but
it kind of doesn't really matter.
It doesn't if we get the 3 points.
That's not being arrogant, is it? It's just like, you've got to take care of your own business. It doesn't really matter what they do.
It only matters if we lose, doesn't it? And then you're looking at Saturday's games and you're like, oh, please lose, please lose, please lose.
The only worry is, and we've referenced it already in the previous podcast, that if those teams at the bottom, maybe get rid of managers, have a new manager bounce, start improving, and Luton don't improve in any way, that you could be drawn closer into it. I mean, it's a 5-point buffer, albeit, Pompey and Plymouth have got games in hand.
Wayne Rooney's Plymouth, Argyle, please. Full name, please.
Is this what you have to go for?
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Okay, Wayne.
And it's Frank Lampard's Coventry City when we come to that later in the season too.
Gotcha. Noted. Wouldn't want us upset those two prima donnas. Completely lost my train of thought, but for goodness sake, can we get a win?
Pretty much it, isn't it? Yeah. Threats for Derby, they're not really obvious to the eye. So let's just focus on Luton for the remainder of the podcast. Well, we know we're not going to have Liam Walsh. So does that mean 2 goalkeepers on the bench? Presumably it does again, doesn't it? So reprieve for James Shea, who harshly dropped out of the bench the other day. I still think we're in a world where James Shea's going to put on an actual outfield shirt and play at some point, such as our injury crisis. I'm sure I see it happening at some point. I hope it doesn't.
Have you been at the eggnog already?
Arc at the Christmas.
2 can play that game, mate.
Yeah. I don't want to see Hashioka left centre back.
Well, no, we've seen enough of it. How many times do you have to do the same thing and it not work? So
can we have that ghost of Christmas future to just show Rob the way that it's not Hashioka at left centre back?
You've one up to me again, haven't you? God, I'm running out of these Christmas puns.
I watched Scrooge the other day, actually. Otherwise, I wouldn't have them in my head. Wait till we get to Miracle on 34th Street.
Scrooged or Scrooge?
Scrooge.
The Michael.
Yeah. The old,
Caine.
the old
Muppets Christmas Carol.
Well, it's the proper version of that. Yeah,
it's a banger of a film. To be fair,
it is.
It is absolutely. Can we talk about just that Christmas films? That'd be nicer.
Let's not talk about Christmas films now, just in case this goes proper wrong on Friday night, because we've got a review podcast to do.
Yeah, okay.
Might just put that film on and sell off down the pub. But yeah, I don't want Hashi at left centre back. In fact, I don't want a left centre back. I want back four. It's Christmas, Rob. Give the people what they want.
Yeah, second. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? If some of the lessons were learned. Are they going to be? I don't know. I don't really. We're not sold on the 3 anyway. I think that's very public common knowledge. We're not.
Might have mentioned it once or twice,
maybe.
mightn't we?
I think it's a system set up that really benefits Alfie Doughty. He's not there. He's not going to be there, barring a Christmas miracle. He's not going to be there. So it's about maybe changing that formation to fit the players that you have got, to fit the players that play in their rightful positions, to keep it simple, because maybe it feels too complicated at the moment. Maybe that's an issue. I mean, it's probably not that. There's lots more to it, but that's a thing you can address, isn't it?
It is, yeah. On the subject of Hashioka, he's the Wham subject. I forgot to mention it in the last podcast. Gone from Harry Cornick to Andros Townsend to Hashioka.
He's got that song now.
He's got it.
Ah, fair play. He probably does.
I don't even know if the Japanese celebrate Christmas, but if they do, he's got the Wham.
I've heard what they do is all go out and have KFC. I think that's a Christmas tradition. They don't really celebrate it, but that's a Christmas tradition.
How the hell am I born in England and not Japan? What a culture. Hashi, if you need a partner for your Christmas thing, I'm your man.
I'm sure he has absolutely no idea who Wham are either. That would be. Firstly, he was probably born this century.
Aren't they?
No idea about.
Aren't they favourites to be Christmas #1 though? There's a regurgitation of it, isn't there?
You and I both listen to the same podcast with Marina Hyde and Richard Osborne, and they're saying that the next 10 years are just going to be a constant battle between Wham and I was going to say Whitney Houston then, but the other one, Mariah Carey, because people just listen to what they like now, and things that you stream get charted rather than the new stuff. I think this is a massive detour, but anyway, Hashioka's not going to have a clue who that is, but I'm all in favour of that song. Was that the question you asked? I've no idea.
Pretty sure it was never #1 the last time round. So if it gets to #1 with Hashioka being sung loud on Sky on Friday night, he deserves royalties from here on in.
Can we count that as a win?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Harry Cornick, Andros Townsend, Hashioka it is. I'm like you. It's a good song. It's about the only decent song we're singing at the minute. So let's sing lots of it. But yeah, not on the left. Not on the left, please, Rob. Not on the left. There ain't going to be no changes in defence. There ain't no defenders to change. I'd like to see the order of it changed, as I highlighted in the last podcast. That it just fills me with dread whenever I see Hashi anywhere away from the right-hand side. To be fair, the back three doesn't look as disorganised at home as it does away from home. Whether that's size of the pitch, whether that's optics, whether that's just even kind of theory, really, rather than it just seems to be the case. Maybe it's the result dictated or what it is, but no teams really rolled us over at home apart from Burnley. So we're even when we concede, we're only conceding sort of 1 goal a game. Sunderland got 2. Very, very fortunate with one of their goals. In the main, we keep ourselves in the game at home defensively, don't we? And as we've always referenced, we'll always score at home. I think we scored in every home game this season. If that continues here, you'd like to think we'll get something out of the game. But you look at the attacking numbers, not just the goals, but Jordan Clark's now created the most big chances in the Championship this season. Elijah Adebayo's well out in front for missed big chances, but at least he's getting the chances. He's also high up in the expected goals this season. The individual numbers and the collective attacking numbers are absolutely fine. And I think this is a real bugbear of Luton fans, which I didn't really touch on in the last podcast, that all of our problems are defensive, and that's why they can't understand why it can't be solved. It's not like we've got a 1 to 11 problem here. We've literally just got a backline problem. Surely it shouldn't be as hard to solve as what it's proven to be, even allowing for the injuries.
That's what the numbers tell us, isn't it? I mean, we referenced in the last podcast how good Jordan Clark has been in the last, couple of weeks, given that he's been a bit of a scapegoat. I think that's accurate. But the numbers that you say there, that he's created the most big chances. Sorry, I don't quite know how they
It's
gauge that one.
it's done on the strength of the XG. I don't know the exact number. Let's just say it's the higher the XG, the bigger the chance, and so he's created the most of those. So obviously, some of those in recent times have been the set pieces that he's taken, which have been really, really good, and they were at Blackburn on Saturday as well. Could have scored from one of those. Goalkeeper just beat Morris to one of them, and against Stoke, pretty much every corner he took, was right in the danger areas. So that's helped. But even so, he's still creating chances. I mean, we'll go all the way back to Portsmouth. He could have had 3 assists in half an hour.
Those numbers for him speak to the attacking creativity, and I think that's where people would like to see him more of. I think he's probably a good 10, but obviously they used him central midfielder. Rob talked about he thinks eventually he'll move further back, and I don't think that's a thing that anyone wants to see. Good going forward, good when Luton are on top. Defensive frailties are there for everybody, but him as well, which is probably part of the reason that he's been picked up on, to a certain extent. Picked up on is a strong word, but I mean, people have
singled out.
Yes, that's the one. People have highlighted it. So, but that, the fact that he's created those, and the fact that Luton are scoring suggests it is all one end of the pitch, and we know this. That you only have to look at the goals against column. It's racking up. It's already, pretty bad, worse than that promotion winning season. That's where the problem is.
It is, yeah. Unfortunately, there's no personnel change to be had defensively in this game.
But there could be, though. And we spoke about it in the last one. Is it now time for JJ? And if it is, that's a 4, isn't it?
What? Sorry,
we're shouting into the void most of the time when we're talking about this 4.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. There's no changes within the structure that we seem hell-bent on employing, unless you bring Mads Anderson in. But if you're going to play Hashioka left centre-back on Saturday, you're basically saying you're not going to bring Mads Anderson in anytime soon as well, because... And that's the thing, isn't it? There was I referenced it in the last podcast. There was that silly line that Rob said that Luton fans want to see their team win. Yes, of course we do, but it's not the be-all and end-all. We want to see square pegs in square holes as much as possible, and we want to see a team fighting and giving everything for the cause. You tick those 2 boxes, then by and large you're going to be fine. I don't think they'd have got criticism if they'd only drew with Stoke, and you saw both of those things in that game. So the winning part of it, it's kind of had a... blaming the fans for the toxic culture thing, and I didn't like it, and that might just been the way I took it, and it wasn't how it was intended, and that's absolutely fine. But either way, it's these round pegs in these square holes that are getting us into this problem time and time and time again. So you're right, the back 4, and we played JJ for 20 minutes, and there was no problem on Saturday. We can do that. There's nothing wrong with a back 4 of JJ, Holmes, McGuinness, Hashioka. There's nothing wrong with it. Is it perfect? No. We're not going to be perfect because we've got our best left back sat on the sidelines. We've got our second best left back sat on the sidelines. And if Rue Waters is your first choice right back, we've got him sat on the sidelines. And we've got 2 very good centre backs sat on the sidelines. It's not going to be perfect, but would I expect that back 4 to deal with most championship attacks, particularly at Kenilworth Road? Yes, I would. You've got an England under-19 international. You've got an Ireland international. You've got Tom Holmes, who looks very, very solid whenever he plays on the left-hand side of Mark McGuinness, but seems to be completely alien to him on his right-hand side. And then you've got a Japanese international. That's a good back 4.
I think so. And we are just putting out Christmas wishes here for sure. But when you look at Derby's away record, the fact that they're not that particularly free scoring, and that all of Luton's joy so far has come at Kenilworth Road, maybe this is the ideal time to get JJ into the squad, because he'll get the backing of Kenilworth Road unequivocally, and for the most part looked more stable at the back. So hopefully that would be a factor, and get him in there and blood him in that way. People will respond to that hugely. It can't. We are almost talking about two different teams, home and away, but it can't get any worse off the back of a defeat that everyone's dispirited by to make those changes. And we were talking about the last one. Try things, try the changes. Where can the changes be? Now, admittedly, that we're depleted, and so the changes can't be that much. But there's somebody that could do it.
Yeah, indeed. He looked very comfortable at Blackburn for 20 minutes. Blackburn declared by that point. Should highlight that, and Derby won't have declared at the start of the game. But you're not going to know if the guy will swim if you don't throw him in the water. And it's as simple as that, isn't it? At some point, we've got to do it because.
Well, and I don't think that we can really be. He was at fault for some of the Burnley. I think we need to chalk that one off. That team at this current season are so vastly better than Luton are, and particularly in that first game, they got blitzed by them. Absolutely, they exploited some weaknesses, which just continue to get exploited in various different ways. But we can't hold that against him now. I think we've got to say that it's not working at all away. It's not working. I have to keep referencing that. It's not working away. But we're off the back of a defeat. Where can it change? Home's fairly a good place at the moment, results-wise, not necessarily performances. I get that. But if you could put him in there, play him at home, give him his chance, hopefully he takes it, move on away, he could play again, he's a young kid. Maybe it changes there. Maybe it's the start or something.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. There's no issue with Bristol City anyway, is there? We play Friday, Thursday. You know, if anyone can't back up Friday the following Thursday, then we have got one or two issues. The Swansea game, yeah, that's just unfortunate. It comes hot on the heels of Bristol City, and based on what we saw of Swansea a couple of weeks ago, don't think anyone's expecting anything there anyway. So if you can get more points from the first two games, who really cares what happens at Swansea, you know? And of course, I mean, we keep saying it, but the back four plays into the strengths of the other players in the squad. And now that Jordan Clark's attacking numbers are becoming more apparent, you can get, if you play a back four, you can get Marvellous in front of that back four. You can then have Krause and Clark, or Chong and Clark, or whoever and Clark further forward, where Clark can create even more big chances to the growing number of big chances that he is creating. Because if he can create them from deep where he is now, think how many he can create when he's further forward and doesn't have to keep tracking back all the time. And then you can have Moses attacking a fullback on one side. You can have Chong attacking a fullback on the other side, or Brown attacking a fullback, or whoever it may be. And all of a sudden, the players, as we said when we previewed the Blackburn game, and if you play a back four, the fit players that you've got in your squad, the players that never get injured and that are reliable to play game after game after game, can do so in that structure because there's more of them. And who knows, someone might take a tank in at some point if we do that, because the attacking players in this squad are a heck of a lot better than the defensive players in this squad. That's no disrespect to the defensive players in this squad. You just got to look at them. They score in every game. They concede in every game. It's tantamount to telling you that. So get more of your attacking players on the pitch, because if you're going to concede anyway, you might as well stick more attacking players on the pitch and try and score more.
And the last home game against Stoke, that could have been 4-1 comfortably. The chances were there, which speaks to the amount that are being created. You know, I'm not going to go so far as to say somebody's going to get a tank in anytime soon, because that could leave egg on their face. But it's possible. Whether it happens or not, I mean, we just do want the win. The points are the most important thing. I would take an absolute slog of a match for let's score early and just defend the lead. I'll take all of that stuff for a win.
Yeah, me too. I didn't mean to say someone will take a tanking soon, but if you play to that formation, someone could get tanked, because if it clicks and you've got Moses, Elijah, Morris, Chong, Brown, for combination of 4 or 5 of them on the pitch, and they all click at the same time, then someone would get a tank in, but they're not on the pitch, and that's why no one is getting a tank in.
Yeah,
but
that's fair enough.
You know, we're injury riddled, but they're all in defence. So take a defender out of the formation, put an attacking player in the formation, and find more fit players on the pitch, more square pegs in square holes, and go from there. We haven't got Liam Walsh, so we haven't got that backup midfield option. Seemingly Pelly's out of favour. We might find out why by the time this game kicks off. We might not, who knows. But at least we can have Marvellous there with two other midfielders. And if it's Zach Nelson that has to come off the bench, if Pelly really is out of favour, well, he would much prefer being in an attacking position than a defensive one, again, as we saw against Burnley. You've got Corley Woodrow, who could then play one of those attacking midfield roles rather than wide right, where he's come on in the last two games, where he's a fish out of water. Again, round peg in a square hole.
Wouldn't a round peg fit in a square hole?
Depends how big the round peg is, doesn't it?
That's true. That's true.
Square peg in a round hole. You're absolutely right to pick me up on that. But that's the thing, isn't it? You can even go back to the back five when all the defenders and Alfie and everyone else is fit if you really have to, if the four really doesn't work or whatever. But whilst you haven't got five defenders to play in a five defensive formation, play to the players that you have got behind you. Even if you don't trust them, at least they're going to be more comfortable playing in their natural position. And who knows? Maybe we don't need to do it for this game because, like you say, the home form's fine, and maybe we're preempting this podcast too soon and we should be saying this for the Bristol City game. I fear the worst in that Bristol City game. When we preview that, their attacking numbers, they don't make good reading against our defensive numbers, but we'll cover that come the time. Again, it's another reason why this is a must-win game, and I think it is a must-win game. Of course, nothing's going to happen if we don't win the game, but it's a must-win game.
Well, I mean, I think it's psychologically and not necessarily psychologically for the team, isn't it? Psychologically for how the fans are feeling by what you were saying in the previous podcast, that that the home form needs to be at least as it has been so far. Obviously, it can improve. Everything can improve, but it needs to at least be that, because if you go in, 7 games defeat on the road now, and we're not quite at that Graham Jones season, but it's approaching it, and it could comfortably get there, but by mid-January, and we hope that new year, new Luton, hopefully, but at the minute it doesn't look like it's a home has to be where the points come. And yeah, I think people have their views on the phrase must-win game. We used it earlier in the season for the Premier League season when we were playing the lesser teams, and that was legitimate wherever it was in the season. People didn't quite think that way, but I think now you're entering the realms of it. Like you say, the second half of the season zips by quite quickly, and you need to be in a run. You need to get on some sort of run that suggests that you can get comfortably. I think that's where we are now. We need to be comfortable in this league to then rebuild for the next one.
And there's nothing to suggest that Derby are going to be outside the bottom 8 in the league. None of the numbers suggest it. None of the current form suggests it. Their away record doesn't suggest it. So therefore, if you want to be comfortably above the bottom 8 in the league, you've got to beat the bottom 8 in the league. Now, our record against teams in the bottom 8 so far this season is atrocious, has to be said. Well, we beat Cardiff, but we've lost to Preston. We've drawn at Portsmouth. We've lost at Plymouth. We've lost at home to QPR. It's not good. So now we've got to make up in the games that we've got left against these bottom 8. Otherwise, we're going to get sucked into the drew with Oxford as well.
But again, you have to look at home and away, really, don't you? The QPR obviously stands out because that until a week ago, that was their only success on the road, I think, wasn't it? But all of those other ones, they are away. So the home negates that to a certain degree. When you're trying to play off the two different areas of Luton's season, it was only that one that was a huge disappointment. And let's be honest, Luton dominated that game and should have smashed them, but somehow lost it.
Yeah, that's all fair. We can dominate this game, but we just got to make sure we win it and give ourselves a nice Christmas present. We might be 8 points above the relegation zone if we win it, but we'll definitely be 5 points above it going into those two daunting away games. That
will feel significant enough. It wouldn't be breathing room. It would breathe easier maybe, but 8 points, considering that the troubles that teams are having at the bottom would be significant enough to feel good about going into the Christmas period.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's where we're coming from in terms of must win. Of course, the world's not going to end if we lose this game. Well, after a few hours it won't anyway. And yeah, that's where we're at. That's pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. We'll keep this one a little bit shorter and sweeter as we try to do with the previews, because obviously Friday night, slightly less time for you to watch this and get your score predictions into us. But we'll end this podcast with our score predictions. I'm 3 points behind you, but this is exactly what's going to happen so that I catch you up. Luton are going to win this game. They're going to win it 3-0.
Wow. Well, I'd love that. I'd love it. I think they will win it. Home is the only time I'm going to be confident of that, but I think it'll be slightly closer. So I'll go for 1-0.
Just make sure you score 2, Town. That's all I ask.
Well, do you get some sort of points for being?
No, but you just don't gain anything. That's fine.
I'll get a win. What?
So you don't gain anything because I'll also get a win.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. See, my maths ain't.
There's your job, Town. Make sure you score 2. If you get 3, it's Christmas. Happy days.
We didn't say our team lineup. Are you guys going to be? Do you want to?
Oh, we can do it, but this is the third game of the week. I say third game of the week. We've just had a 3-game week. We've done lots of them. Yeah, let's do it. Mine would be Kaminsky, Johnson. Well, I've just put the back 4: Johnson, Holmes, McGuinness, Hashioka. Marvellous sat in front of them. Then I would give Krause a rest here because we've got 2 away games where I really want Krause. So I would go Chong, Clark in front of those. I would go Moses on one side. I would go Brown on the other side. And I would go with... Morris for the first hour, and then I would bring Eli on for the last half an hour.
Okay. Yeah. Not much really.
There's no point in me saying that because we're not going to play a back 4. We're going to play back 3, and it's all
I think we should just say what we want to happen.
Yeah, that's what I want.
What we think will happen, because what we know will happen is it will be a back 3.
Yep.
And let's play some fantasy football for once.
Yeah, that's my fantasy football team.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit
harsh on a couple.
It's harsh on Elijah a little bit.
Yeah, harsh on Krause.
Yeah.
Krause is brilliant.
Yeah, he's been great.
But I would rather have a fresh Krause at Bristol City, where I'm not bothered if Chong plays, because that's going to be a tough day at the office. And, if Chong doesn't play that game and Krause does, then I'm absolutely fine with it. Don't think we're going to see Clark dropped anyway. And I'm quite fine with that at the minute, as long as he's playing further up.
Yeah.
As long as Marvellous is there. And hey, even at Bristol City, Krause might replace Marvellous and Chong plays as well, and that's all fine with me. But let's give that structure a go. If it works, let's give it a go against Bristol City. Let's not work it on Friday and then abracadabra, we all change back to what doesn't work against Bristol City. That's the thing that started. That's just annoying people. We give them false hope. And the hope part of it is good because it generally comes via a victory, so that's good. But we'd love hope built on rather than dashed.
Yep, and I'm happy with that. I'm not going to rock the boat at all. United front on that fantasy football lineup.
Blimey. Must be Christmas. Christmas miracle has just occurred.
Please, yeah. I've been at the eggnog though, haven't I?
You must have been. I think we both have if we think we're going to play a back 4. Let's have your fantasy football 11. How would you go about it? Would you go with a back 4? Would you go with a back 3? I think I know the answer to that one, particularly in light of this situation. And maybe as the injuries come back, we'll reflect on how everyone would go in an ideal world with a perfect 11, but that's for a little bit later down the line. So yeah, let's have your team. Am I right? Would you rest Krause for this one? Would you play Krause? Would you rest Eli for this one? Would you play Eli? If you're playing both of those, who wouldn't you play? Let us know and we can gauge an opinion. And we'll all be looking at the team sheet 7 o'clock on Friday night anyway, won't we? Just to see what is going on with it. That is pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. Please do keep subscribing in your numbers. Our subscription numbers are going up quite rapidly. We'd love to get to 2,000 before Christmas. That would be absolutely fantastic. Should just say we've got our Christmas order of play sorted out now. What we're going to do, we will review this derby game in the normal time. We won't do it the night after because that's Saturday and Jimbo and I have got lives. We'll do it on the Sunday night as we always do.
Have we?
Don't give the game away, man. What are you doing? We try and make out that we've got lives.
We're international jet setters.
That's us. So yeah, we'll record the review of this game on the Sunday. That will be out to you on the Monday morning at the usual time. What we will also do is we'll do a separate preview for both the Bristol City and Swansea games in one. The reason why we're doing that, obviously, there's not much time between the two games. Won't be back from Bristol until quite late. We don't really want to do podcasts on a Friday night. We've both got families. It's Christmas week. Our families do deserve a little bit of our time. I'm sure you'll all understand that. We've covered 23 games, if you include that Carabao Cup game already this season. So, and also Swansea, we've only just played. We can't really allude too much more to what we did in those two podcasts anyway.
And also, you could play the first one of the away games that we started losing and just repeat again and again. We tried to bring something different, and I think we've managed it so far, but
we're running out of options.
Well, and I am going to get on the eggnog over Christmas.
Yeah, and the editing could go seriously pear-shaped if I let him loose on that. So it will be a separate preview for Bristol City and Swansea. We'll get that out to you before Christmas, but that will just be in one. And then what we'll do after that, we'll review the Swansea and Bristol City games as one and preview the Norwich game in the same podcast because there isn't much time between Swansea and Norwich. And then from the Norwich review onwards, we will be back to a normal schedule. So just to confirm, this derby review, usual time, one preview for the Bristol City and Swansea games, one review for those two games coupled with a preview for Norwich all in one. And then we're back to normal after the Norwich home game in terms of reflecting and reviewing everything. So we hope that's okay. I'm sure everyone will understand that we've got families and the game's just come too thick and too fast. Not our fault, really, is it?
No, we're going to do it anyway, so whether you like it or not.
But I'm at all the games. Jimbo's at them. If you see us, we're more than happy to chat and everything else. So yeah, that's just to mark your card for the Christmas period, how our content is going to come out at you. So, but if you've subscribed, you'll get a notification when each podcast drops, but we'll try and keep them to the normal times as much as we possibly can do. Thanks for watching or listening, however it is that you consumed this podcast. Thanks as always to the Barber Club and the Lower Level in Luton for hosting our studio, especially around this Christmas period. We really appreciate your support, guys. To Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music, and to Ed Smith Creative for all the designs that you see on set. Until next time, which will be a review of what we hope will be 3 massive points for Luton Town. From Jimbo and myself, if you've got a ticket in that Kenilworth end or any of the home ends on Friday night, be loud, be proud, get right behind the boys, get that magic going at Kenilworth Road, and hopefully between all of us we can produce a winning display and 3 points. So come on, you Hatters.
For me, it's the people and the spirit of the people as well.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.
We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.